What's going on, family? What's going on? What's going down? What's shaking? Welcome to another episode of Nonfiction with Jonathan Soul. So I have a three topics I want to talk to you today about. One is about cyborgism, and basically I'm just that's the clickbait version of saying brain implants are real, and there's some articles about people who have been benefiting medically from brain implants. Then two, I wanted to talk about the space, the mission that just launched Wednesday to divert or change the course of an asteroid. It was a collaborative effort by NASA, SpaceX, and John Hopkins Applied Physics Lab. I didn't know John Hopkins had. I just thought there was medical. And lastly, I wanted to talk about the Metaverse. There's something called Earth 2 that Nvidia is working on, so I want to get into all of that. Okay. All right, so first things first. Let's talk about the cyborg piece. Now, I found this article. Let's see here. Found this article in Singularity Hub, okay? SingularityHub.com. And basically, you can put the article there. Basically, what's happening is this lady was suffering from depression. And we know that the brain is a organ that has electrical signals that, transmit electricity through, nerves and neurons and the whole bit. So they put a chip inside the lady's brain that scans her brain for, signals that would cause depression. So I guess low vibrations, right? And so when the brain chip sees it, it sends out an electrical signal to kind of neutralize the incoming depression signals. I think they referred to it as like static or something. And so then of course that electrical signal doesn't get a chance to kind of permeate the brain. And so after a while, this lady was actually able to get a handle on her depression. So I thought that was crazy. So it talks about this lady named Sarah. She's 37 years old. Blah 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 blah. Several years. She's had depression under control for the first time in her life. Suicidal thoughts have evaporated. After quitting her tech job due to her condition, she's now back on her feet. Da 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 da. And so basically, they calling this kind of like a brain pacemaker. And so that was just one article that I found. I looked up others. Singularity Hub talks about it a lot. I mean, they're having monkeys, like lab monkeys, who have been paralyzed. They're able to walk again. They're talking about they're just people who are like maybe missing a limb. They can put an interface in their brain and they're able to control like a prosthetic arm or a prosthetic limb. There's even articles about memory, being able to help people remember stuff. So we are slowly, sometimes I have a critique or a joke about sci-fi movies that every time they come out with one, a couple of years later, we're already there. So when I was a kid, right, in the 70s, the thing was 1984. Oh, this is long before Mac. 1984 was the bad time. 1984 is in the past now. And Big Brother is Facebook and social media. Of course, it's the NSA and all that kind of stuff. But, I mean, we voluntarily give up our, information to strangers online. So, you know what I mean? So it's like they had it right in a way and they didn't in a way, kind of thing. But the brain interface. So Cyborg, I kind of like Cyborg in the Teen Titans a little bit. I mean, he's a sorrowful character in the sense that, there's very little left of his physical body. I mean, I never questioned the idea of human, but, for the writers, comic book writers' sake, But to be able to put a chip in your brain to manage depression as opposed to a drug, to me is amazing. Okay, that's number one. A Singularity Hub, and the article is called let's see here. AI-powered brain implant eases severe depression with a zap of electricity, and that came out October the 12th, 2021. All right. So that's the first topic I wanted to talk about. Would you guys do that? God forbid any of y'all got depression. I'm recording this on Thanksgiving. And so, sometimes the holidays can be a drag if you're, away from home. You don't have relatives around. Sometimes that can be a drag. But if you're a part of a family, you're connected. And even if you're not, let's just say you're an orphan or something, you came to this world from a distant planet or whatever. I mean, just know that if you treat people good, you know what I mean? Generally speaking, people will treat you good, kind of thing. All right, moving on, because I want to keep this short. I got a comic book to review. I'm going to review this over here from godhoodcomics.com, or after I finish this little nonfiction joint. All right, so the next topic, of course, I think I mentioned it already, is the Metaverse. Okay, I know you've been hearing about the Metaverse, and so I'm not going to give you a long explanation. In the event that you're the curious type, you've already researched it. But for those who haven't, I want to talk about Earth 2. Earth 2 is an application of the Metaverse, okay? So big picture, nigga, smaller. Big picture. Metaverse is a way to basically mimic the real world digitally. Okay, I'm not talking. So most people think, oh, it's going to be like you're walking into the office with your avatar. Come on, fam. It's not really going to be like that. Not really. It's not going to be like Sims. You know how much time you wasting getting your avatar dressed and then going to the bus, the digital. Nobody's going to do that shit. Are video games going to become more immersive? Sure. But what the metaverse actually is about the digital twins in simulation. That's really what it's going to be about. What do you mean by that, Mr. Soul? All right, I'll tell you. So when you want to build something new, especially if it's something large, you want to test it, right? And so you have a lab where you build an environment similar to the environment that the doohickey is going to be in, and you try to test it. All right. So that's the physical world. So with race cars, they have a smaller track, right? So we got that part. So what if you were able to build the physics of an environment digitally into your little workspace? So we know that there are programming languages that people use to build, say, web pages and video games and all that kind of stuff, right? And so part of those programming languages, there's a new one coming out called USD, Universal Scene Description, USD, Universal Scene Description. And so basically it's gonna be like the HTML of this new metaverse. Within it is gonna have the ability to write, describe a scene, and the physics of the real world are going to be built in. Okay, all right, we got that part. For example, with Tesla, with all their cars are scanning the road as they drive and so forth. So let's just say you're on Mayberry Street, and Mayberry Street has a pothole right before you get to the stop sign. You got a Tesla. Tesla drives over Mayberry Street for the very first time. It scans the road, and then bam, you hit that pothole, and you fuck your tire up or something like that, right? Okay, boom. That data is sent back to Tesla, right? Tesla says, oh, okay, Mayberry Street has it, and so maybe they might change the suspension, or they might do something. So the next time you hit that pothole, your tire, your alignment doesn't get fucked up, or maybe it'll just alert, like Waze, it'll just alert and say, hey, there's a pothole there. Let me just rear to the left a little bit. So that's the practical use, the use case for the metaverse. It's not just going to be Sims. Don't get it twisted. That's going to be a very small percentage. Okay, so with the idea that you're using the qualities of the physical environment in the digital, so you can test things very quickly. Okay, so they're doing this in medicine, right? Okay, so we have and the way they're using this in medicine. So inside this program, they have genes or they have cells. And the cells have characteristics that mimic the real world. Okay, if you put fire to the cell, it's going to shrivel up. In the real world, in the digital world, you put fire to the cell, it's going to shrivel up. So they're testing like medicines and vaccines and things of that nature in this. And so what they call these objects, the cell in the digital world, is that what they call a digital twin, of the real world. And so, for example, there's an article on Nvidia's blog. If you just look at Metaverse, Nvidia's blog, it talks about how BMW is building a factory, right? First, they build it in this Metaverse thing. And so they know how wide the lanes have to be for the little carts to be able to move around. And they know how tall or how high the tables have to be for the workers to be able to quickly grab a screwdriver or a wrench, that kind of thing. And so they build it in this Metaverse just right. And then once they got it, and let me take it one step further. Not only are they building it in terms of scale, like spaces and dimensions, stuff like that, they have robots, right, in the factory. So the robot will pick up a screwdriver and put it on the table, pick up a screwdriver, put it on the table. They will write the AI algorithm, the program for the robot, right? And then they'll put it in the digital twin of the robot inside the simulation. And so that way they can teach the robot how to behave in the environment properly. And once they got all the wrinkles out, then they take that improved version of the program and they put it in the real world robot. And so all the kinks have been worked out. You follow me? So it's a high level way of simulating the physical world, physical world, so that you can kind of work out the kinks. And then boom. All right. So, okay, bam. So that's the big picture. You got it. And just as I'm throwing out catchwords out there like metaverse and digital twin, Omniverse is the platform that Nvidia is using to do it. So let's say Photoshop is the platform to touch up photos and stuff, or Adobe Illustrator is the platform to draw. Well, the Omniverse is that platform, and you can actually go to, I got on my screen here, you can go to developer.nvidia.com and you can download the open beta of the Omniverse. That's their little program. And so you download the program and you'll have little objects you can drag into the environment, like a tractor or a wrench or something, and then blah, 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 blah. So it's for simulation purposes to make developing and testing go faster. Okay. So that's the big background. So where does this Earth 2 piece come into play? Family, they're trying to build a supercomputer so that they can simulate the Earth, so they can predict climate change and things of that nature. All that shit I just said, that 5 minutes worth of talk, that's what this is about. And so in NVIDIA's, they got another blog, NVIDIA to build Earth 2 supercomputer to see our future. So what they want to do is they want to build a supercomputer so they can put a specialized version of, I guess, Omniverse in there, and to simulate, it's going to be strong enough to simulate the Earth's, oceans and atmosphere and all this kind of shit, and hopefully the radiation from the sun and everything, so that they can kind of tell or predict the way their Earth is going to change in the future, the climate is going to change in the future. Now, they had simulators back in the day when, what's his name, Al Gore kind of fronted for that movie, Inconvenient Truth. They had simulators. And I'm not going to say I'm a climate change person who don't believe. I'll just say that I know, my thought is that this is a sidebar, okay? My thought is that the sun and the oceans are the biggest impact of climate. And there's some arguments that could be said that all the planets are warming up at the same time because of the sun. Here's a couple of articles, boom, boom, boom. But anyway, so they're building. So Nvidia is at the forefront because they build these super fast GPUs, these graphical processing cards and stuff like that. And so they're really ahead of the game. And Nvidia is going to be a big player in this space. All right. So that's the Earth 2. So the whole thing is they're going to build a simulator of the Earth so they can more accurately predict climate change. All right. Whew. That's a lot. Hold on. I got to take a break. Hold on a second. Talking loud and talking fast, man. All right. So anyway, so here's the last thing. The last thing is about this mission. So you might have heard about the NASA's DART mission. DART mission. What's that? Basically, what we're told. Okay, and I'm saying this because what we're told is that they want to test our ability to deflect asteroids if they come to Earth. So they found an asteroid out there in the solar system that has a little asteroid circling it like a moon. Okay, the asteroid is called Didymos, 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 and its moon is called Dimorphos. Okay, Dimorphos, Dimorphos, Dimorphos. And so, Didymos is here and Dimorphos is circling around. So this particular mission is a collaboration between SpaceX, which gets them off the ground into space, NASA, who's leading the mission, and of all places, Johns Hopkins APL, which is Applied Physics Laboratory. I didn't know they had. I thought they was just medicine. So anyway, so what they do is SpaceX got them out into space. They're going to have this solar panel that's going to be an engine that's going to take this probe into toward the moon, and it's going to take about 10 months for them to get there. Okay, so the idea is, and I'll put the link in the description, but basically, like I told you, you got Didymos, and then you got Dimorphos circling around. The idea is that the probe is going to ram into the moon, and that impact is supposed to, I guess, push back the moon a little bit and change the orbit. And their idea in the little, because they even got a little animation, and again, I put the link in there, where it'll make the moon's, the little moon's orbit like shorter, like it'll make it tighter. So if that's the case, then the idea is if we can see an asteroid heading toward us, then we can just hit it, just basically give it a push. Now, y'all are thinking, well, wait a minute, that's not the way they do it in the movies, right? In the movies like Armageddon, I think that came out in the late 90s. There's one called Deep Impact that came out, I think, in the 90s too. And then my favorite, which is it's an animation. This is called Superman v. Batman: Public Enemies. To me, that's the best DC animated movie ever. I know people like Red Hood. I love Red Hood. I rented Red Hood 4 times, and then I bought it. Batman and the Red Hood. And Flashpoint, I think I bought Flashpoint too. Flashpoint was just shocking, but I don't want to get into that. So one of the points in Batman, Superman, Public Enemies was there's an asteroid coming, and President Luthor was trying to deflect it. So in all of these movies, they're trying to blow the asteroid up. But in real life, they just want to deflect it. They just want to push. Sorry about that. Push. And kind of a thing, which I think is hilarious, and it makes more sense too, because in real life, if you blow it up, you might make more projectiles, you know what I mean? Kind of a thing. So 1, I think it's cool. 2, I'm a little concerned because why now? Why now? I don't know. Why now? The other thing I'm concerned about is the public-private partnership. I believe Johns Hopkins is a private university. We know that SpaceX is a private company. Well, Tesla is public. And then, of course, NASA. So, to me, NASA should be able to do this all on their own. But, what do I know? I'm just a citizen. You know what I mean? So I just, this is too close to the military application. You know what I mean? Because this is really kind of like a military operation in a way. And it's funny, what happened to Space Force? Shouldn't they be doing this? But anyway, the rocket went up Wednesday the 24th, as I recall. Let me look at my little notes here. Space. Yeah, the 24th at 2. Let's saying it launched at 1:21 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. A SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket from the Launch Pad Complex in Vandenberg Space Force Base. Oh, Space Force. Okay, well, I guess Space Force let them use their launch pad in California. So, wow. Yeah, so Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Laboratory in Laurel, Maryland. Let's see, just one part of, let's see. I'm reading from the article here, and this is on a blog from NASA, and you can see the little thing there. And so it's saying here, it says just part of NASA's larger planetary defense strategy called DART, built and managed by Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Laboratory in Laurel, Maryland, will impact a known asteroid that is not a threat to Earth. The goal is to slightly change the asteroid's motion in a way that can be accurately measured using ground-based telescopes. So they're going to send that rocket out. It's going to hit that moon, and then we should be able to see, from the Earth what it is and the impact. And I guess from there they'll be able to extrapolate, okay, well, we might need a bigger projectile or we might need a smaller one depending on the size and all those kinds of things. So the fact that NASA is working on this, I'm curious to see if China, who has a space program, Russia, is anybody else working on this? It just interesting. But anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about. I'm trying to give you guys some news that you won't necessarily get other places. And I'd say this: I was a fan of Art Bell back in the day. Art Bell was that guy at midnight who had a great voice, and he talked about alien abductions and have people on. I saw Bigfoot in my backyard last night, that kind of thing. And Linda Moulton Howe and all them kind of people. But I think this is better for us because I'm putting the stocks up there now because we can invest in some of these companies and make a little bread. So you see, that's what is that? Nvidia, and you see AMD, and then some other places. There's some ETFs there. So yeah, so it's something to kind of look into, investigate. I love you guys. This is Jonathan Soul, jonathansoul.com. I usually review comics, and after this video, I'm going to do a comic book review. And I review comics that you will enjoy and you can give to your kids. I'm kind of a protective father, so I try not to review comics or recommend comics that's too violent and got any sexual stuff in it. They're trying to put that into the children's, we don't need that. Last thing a kid needs to think about is sex when they're coming up. But anyway, so I review comics I think are safe for the kids. And they're owned and created by black people. Okay. And so I love you guys. Hope all your dreams come true. JonathanSoul.com. Jonathan Soul on Twitter and Instagram and SoundCloud and iTunes. And of course, my site, JonathanSoul.com. All right. Love you guys. Peace.